Okay, it's the converted man, and it's the holiday season, but maybe this avatar is going to be too distracting for this topic. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it out. Why not put my face on screen? I don't feel like it. I don't know. It's just be an avatar right now. It doesn't matter because there's nothing to look at, just listen to, and so I emailed someone that I'm trying to set up a thing with, and so we're trying to figure that out, and I'll let you know when it's a thing or whatever. It will just pop up one day, and you'll be like, "Oh, which deconvert man had told me? Oh, maybe yeah, coming up soon is this, whatever." Anyways, so he wrote stuff, and I didn't want it to just be to this person because I'm like, man, I cooked. I really cooked there. I really came up with some good stuff that I think is true. I could be wrong, of course, because, I'm just thinking, out loud, if you will, in text format. So, talking about God and what God is or isn't, and how would we how would we know, or how would you know, how would anybody know that um what makes something God? It's like, well, what makes the number one the number one? Well, we decided that that's the label, and we could have said lobster, penguin, zebra, and then that could be 1, 2, and 3, but that's still something, but it doesn't exist. Not really. Like, it kind of does, but it kind of doesn't. It's really weird. It's an abstract object of the mind. So, what is math? I'm not a math guy. I'm very bad at math. But I think math is a category of abstract objects in the mind. Now I'm reading what I wrote. That part's not what I wrote. But now I'm going to read what I wrote. Math is a category of abstract objects of the mind, defined as something coherent based on observations made in our world. We, quote, found, end quote, the idea of, quote, one, quote, in that an object is abstracted from whatever it is and then said to be a single unit of that object that we labeled as one. So one doesn't really exist, quote, out there, end quote. It's only in the brain. It's only as a concept we made up in full. And we could label it something else. But the idea of what it is would still align with the behavior of how it functions in the real world as a unit of X objects, in parentheses. If, quote, God, end quote, is like this, then it is in fact an abstract object of the mind that we humans made up to align with something we found in the real world. But what? What is the unit object that we're aligning God to? So is God simply a new number? And perhaps it could be a variable that we found useful in math, but that wouldn't make it able to, quote, do, end quote, anything. The number one can't do stuff. It can't make stuff. So if God's an object of the mind, it's made up in full. And we still lack the thing to point to show that it was abstracted from the X that isn't there for this thing, so God isn't a number. Perhaps. At best, all we've done is say what God isn't. But then that brings us back to the point, what is God? What makes a thing God in the first place, and how could we ever know or be sure about it? Okay, I'll pause my reading of what I wrote now to muss a little bit about what I wrote. Okay, so why assume that God isn't a number? Why can't it be a number? I mean, it could be, I named my rock God, and now God exists. Why not? What is God? I don't know. I don't know what God is. That's up to you to tell me, I guess. But isn't it up to the God thing to tell me? Wouldn't it be up to that if it's a thing? that can tell me stuff. And if it's a thing I'm supposed to find out there in the universe, cool, but what am I looking for exactly? How will I know it and identify it once I see it and find it? Like, for all I know, the lobster is God, and I'm unaware. It's like, if I pointed to this thing and said, that's God, would you recognize it as God? And mythological figures are treated like this, like they're a mystery. Like, you don't know how they're able to do their powers, and this is very mystic, and it's very you're quite confused and awed by them and all this. And if you treat the story like it is reality, then you're going to be in awe of a character doing superhuman things. If you treat Thor from the movie like Thor from mythology, you'd actually have kind of a different Thor, because they made Thor be their Thor. It's not the same. And if you treat Captain America like a real person rather than a fictional being, you sort of don't have answers for how he can do things. Like, the shield can't really bounce like that. It just does, it comes back to you all the time. Like, how do you know how to bounce it off the wall? You don't know what the wall's made of. What if the wall was made out of styrofoam and it just looked like it was hard cement, and you threw it like you were throwing something, as hard cement, and it's just stuck in the styrofoam. So, but he's superhuman, and so he's really, really strong. Okay, but he's not like impervious to gunfire, So, I mean, you could still take him out with a gunshot, right? But, it doesn't matter, because it's a story and you're not supposed to, think about that, But if you treated it like it was real, and like, wow, look what this guy can do. Wow, he can jump really high. He can punch really hard. It's so amazing. Oh my goodness, he's so smart, and he's got the tactical planning. He's heroic. He's somebody I want to follow, and he came from nothing. Now he's something, but he's something because he volunteered for it, and it was bestowed, this gift, upon him, and he took it seriously. But anyways, you at least there have a character, but it's made up, right? So, talked a little bit, the idea of poetry came up. Okay, so back to my writings here that I wrote that I want to read. I like poems and making up stories, but they are in the end made up and fictional. Blake's The Tiger is my fave. But what is the tiger? Is it a tiger? Pause here. So Tyger versus Tiger, because tiger in the Blake poem is spelled Tyger. Back to the reading. Or is it some other creature? Or not even a creature at all? It's burning bright. Is it really burning on fire? Or is it simply illuminated? And one could ponder on such matters. But the truth is, it's not a thing at all. Tiger, Tyger, is made up in full by Blake ages ago. It might be fun talking about it, thinking about it, making a painting or a dance or a song or whatever about it, but it's still made up in the end. And maybe it's useful to us, maybe not, but it's still made up. And we shouldn't treat it like it's real, no matter how much we want it to be real, or feel like it should be real, or could be real. We shouldn't treat it like it's waiting for us to find out there, because we know for sure it's made up. It's illusion. So is God a tiger? And I think the answer is yes. I've been looking for anything to convince me otherwise for years. Nothing has. People have arguments, to be sure, but that's all they ever have. No proof, no evidence, no tests, just ideas about the idea in question. All right, so that's what I wrote, and I wanted to. So I'm done reading that. So yeah, what is it? I know it's. I know people think it's all sorts of stuff, but how do you know? What made you decide that? You were told about it. You were given this idea and you ran with it. And somebody somewhere made it up. Did they know? Did they know that they were making up an idea and just telling it to somebody else? Or did they actually believe the idea themselves? I mean, it's so crazy. It really is. Think about it for a moment. Like, you go, okay, well, what's God? And you're like, well, it's the thing that made the universe. That's what it seems like. A lot of people think that. I don't know how many. It seems like a lot of people think that it made the universe. It's like, well, why? Why is making a universe make you God? So if I could make a universe, would I be God? Well, you wouldn't be the God. You'd be a God of that universe. You know. And you could imagine maybe if humanity lasts long enough that we could get the technology to make a universe, and we kind of have. We've made video games. It's kind of like it. We do stage plays. That's a version of a universe. We do movies and TV shows. Those are universes in a way. We write books. There's a universe in there, sort of. But it exists in this abstract way that requires somebody else to interact with it for it to matter. In a way, it's like if you do a play and nobody comes, the actors, they'll have done the performance. So you'll feel kind of bad as the director and the actors, like nobody was there in the audience. What did we do it for? The show must go on. That's why. We can call it practice. It's like, but you'd be your morale would be broken. You'd be very upset about that. Would you keep putting on a play if nobody showed up? Whew. But in a way, if you film it and then you put it on video, you put it on YouTube or whatever, videotape back in the day, well, like somebody somewhere will watch it, but you won't know. So your reward comes from in that you did this thing and you got money for it. And it was a thing you did. I've done acting. I've been on stage a couple times here and there. I'd say 3 times. Yeah, Wind in the Willows, Kiss Me Kate, Annie, Get Your Gun. I did a couple little short plays that aren't even the names I don't remember. One of them was memorable not because of the play name, but because of what was in the little play that I did. Where I had to kiss the girl. Oh, such a man. We rehearsed that a lot, And when you're up there and you're on stage and you're doing the thing, you're in the moment. And you're not thinking about the audience. You're just doing what you're supposed to do, and it's rewarding. You don't get. I didn't get paid, but it's fun. It's enjoyable. And for Annie, Get Your Gun, the gal had a fake gun. She shot it in the air after this event, but before that she shot it, and I looked directly at her as she shot it, and I got the gunpowder or whatever in my eyes. It was blanks, or whatever, but still. And I did my lines, and I did what I was supposed to do, and then I got off stage, and I'm like, water, I need water. My eyes, I can't see. The play went on, and nobody noticed, I don't think. But after that, she'd shoot it straight up in the air, so it was fine. And the payment was in the pleasure of doing it, But if nobody was there, it wouldn't have been. I don't know if it would have been as fun to do, So the point, I don't know if I'm making any point. We make these universes, and we make them hoping somebody will enjoy them, or and we don't know if they will or won't. And we put them out there, and so we then pretend that a thing made our universe so that we would enjoy it. And why us? Why not the other creatures? Well, maybe it's for the other creatures too. Of course, why not the lobster? Well, yeah, sure. Why not? Everything that's alive should enjoy it to some extent. Although there's going to be times when you don't enjoy it. Well, what's up with that? I don't know. It's part of the universe. It's part of how it is. If it's all just natural, what does that mean? I don't know. It is what it is. We believe in these things that we call God for lots of reasons. We invented it. We made it up. We are pattern seeking. We want it to be true. We need it to be true. We've told ourselves it's true. We spent time and energy on it. And to be told it's not true is like, it makes you question everything. And you're like, what's my place in this world or the universe? And what's it all matter? And what's my purpose and the point of it all? And, when I die, will I still exist? Will I know that I ever lived? What will that be like? I don't know. And it's scary because I'm not there. And I don't want to be there. And I'm here now. And I'm enjoying this. And I'd like this to continue for I don't know how long. I'm not done doing stuff. There's days when I feel like I am, but then I go, no. I got some more stuff I want to do. Some more stuff I'd like to see and hear and experience and eat and drink and feel and whatever. I'd like to do more positive things than negative. I'd like to have more positive things happen than negative, but so I think that when it comes to this question that I've asked myself and others and continue to seek of, God, is there a God? We'll look up in the sky as if God's up there in the sky. Like, why wouldn't God be on the ground or under the ground or in my hand? I don't know. But I'm looking for this thing. I don't even know what it is. And I'm pretty sure I won't find it because I'm pretty sure it's not. But I'm not going to completely say, well, it definitely isn't. Because I don't know that either. I don't even know what the bleep it is. What am I doing? It's crazy. What am I doing? I don't know. But humans, man, we're weird. We're just freaking weird. We believe in things and we think things that are just bizarre and absurd and beautiful and strange and scary, and we do things that are wonderful and terrible, and it's how things are, And if there's a thing, God, that is responsible for all this stuff, it's got a lot to answer for, both good and bad. I wouldn't consider it a good being. I'd consider it a flawed being if it made the universe knowing that it would be like this. Maybe it didn't. Maybe, but then it's a flawed being, So I don't know. But anyway, so what the bleep is God? I don't know. What's your answer? Let me know in the comments. So I can tell you that you're wrong. No. well, maybe you're right. Who knows? All right. Until next time. Well, until we know what there is of God, maybe we should be skeptical about God. And then after I see you again and talk to you again, maybe we can revisit it and revise it and come to a better understanding of it. Until that time, though, we must remain skeptical. And after that, you have to stay skeptical. That's the main thing.